Welcome back to another HabsBrunch, your Sunday rendezvous. Episode number what, Marco? 5 already? Are you kidding me?
Wow.
Look like it's crazy when you realize this when we started this like a month ago. And 5, and then now we are knocking the season 2022-2023. So this episode is going to be really busy with a lot of talking about the very different continents for the Montreal Canadiens. So this week, Marco, if you don't mind, we have a couple of things to talk about. We're going to reviewing the week's number 2. We're going to talk about the overview main cam, and then finally, Marco, we're going to talk about the last thing, of course, the preview of the projection Montreal Canadiens. And this is going to be really a busy episode. Anything you want to add about what we're going to talk about today?
No, lots to cover this week, Coach, and I can't believe it's already episode 5, so we're really excited. Let's jump right in.
So let's start in with the first thing we talk, always the warm-up show. Are you ready?
Let's do it. Let's warm it up.
Here we go. It's time to welcome Miss Karen Haynes from the Hockey Bar. She joined us again for another week. So welcome aboard, Karen.
Thank you very much. Happy to be here, guys.
Awesome. Thanks for joining, Karen. I know it's going to be busy for Karen and I. It's Canadian Thanksgiving this weekend, long weekend. So I think we all, Karen and I, both have busy days after this one. So maybe a fun thing to start us off, Coach, is for Thanksgiving, maybe we can all kind of talk a little bit about what we're thankful about with respect to being Habs fans. Like for me personally, I'm always thankful to watch Caulfield's really snipe those goals like last night. Like that's probably going to be the one thing that's really entertaining to watch this season is watching him. There you go, Karen, with the gear, of course. So that's what I'm most thankful for being a Habs fan. Karen, what are you most thankful for?
I'm thankful for the change of philosophy in this team, the change of the Habs brass that brings us entertaining hockey. That's focused on offense and not just praying for the goalie to make miracles anymore, to do miracles anymore. We're just watching hockey, and we now know that we have to score goals to win. So I'm grateful for that.
But I'm thankful because usually I have 2 Thanksgiving, and one in October, one in November when you live in USA. So I'm really thankful about that. It's a double holidays for me. But if talking about this, I will say to you, I'm just thankful to have everybody like you guys and many of the subscribers participate to the everyday to the channel. So I think this changed my life completely. I'm thankful, and to be sure I'm helped. That's the most important thing. So let's dive in talking, first of all, about the Montreal Canadiens, because we have a lot of subject, and I can wait to hear from Karen and you, Marco, what you want to talk about this week about the projection of the upcoming season. But first of all, we're going to review the week number 2, and that's including 4 games for the Montreal Canadiens last week. And the record was 0-3-1. If I can recall it, we are all wrong about the projection because I said I think it was 1-3-1. I think one of you was 2-2. I cannot recall it. The another who did something else. I don't know if you can remind me what it was your record, Marco.
I predicted that they were going to win 1 out of the remaining games, so I think I was the closest. I think, Coach, you were 1-1, or you thought they were going to be 0-1-1.
I think I said 1-2-1.
1-2-1, yeah.
Yeah. And Karen?
Well, I said I think they're going to win 1, maybe 2, because I was trying to be optimistic. Yeah, that served me right.
There you go. That's honestly was all the 4 game, 5-1 again the Toronto Maple Leafs Monday. The next day they play again Ottawa. They lost by 5-4. 4-3 Thursday night, and finally an overtime last night at 3-2. And it's all 3 games again Ottawa is by difference of the 1 goal last week. I don't want to talk about each one of them because it'll be a little bit longer, but maybe give us a resume of what you think about all those 4 games, starting with Karen for last week for the Montreal Canadiens.
Well, I think it was better than week 1. There was no snooze fest type of thing, so the guys were out there really, showing their all aside from some exceptions. Yeah, I think it's a better brand of hockey. It's more entertaining than it was under Duchamp for sure. But I think it's a shame that we've not been able to see the whole lineup, because Saint Louis had said that he wanted to have like his NHL lineup for the last two games, but obviously that didn't happen because of injuries. We'll discuss it later. But overall, I think even though it's going to be a tough season, it's going to be more fun to watch than it was last year. So there's that.
Marco?
Dear God, let's let's hope so, Kevin. I don't know. So these last three games, yeah, they're. I think what I focused on is more the individual performances that excited me because, and we'll talk about this more about kind of just the overall camp, but just didn't really see any much improvement to the collective game of the team. So that's a bit troubling, but definitely some interesting individual performances that we saw. We'll have an opportunity to talk about those. So to me, that's my takeaway is, it was really the horse races that, between the players fighting for spots that were the most fascinating, and but not much to kind of satisfy someone who is looking for the overall team game to improve, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think for me it's about like if you follow exactly what he said, he was going to go like Karen said. We're going to go to Medicine, going to have a full lineup for the upcoming year. We're going to try to get everything, and then they never happened. I didn't understand Primo honestly why he was doing he was the goaltender game 3 Thursday night, and then obviously with some injuries we'll talk about a little bit later. But again, overall, it was difficult to watch honestly because he won a little bit better and missed a lot of chemistry. I was expect duo. The duo was destroyed because if you change one player, example like Zuski does not play, but now Caulfield play with another center, destroy all the way from the top to the bottom. So it was really strange to see. My expectation was on one way and then changed completely because of the situation. But honestly, it was not great. 0-3-1, but like we said, it's just an exhibition game. The beauty of this, we start October 12th and we are 0-0 like the other
Fresh,
31 team in
yeah,
NHL. So that's the beauty about that one.
yeah, yeah. At least we're not the Toronto Blue Jays last night.
Yeah, I don't know what happened there, but I heard a little bit. The ad news this week, we're going to about a little bit what happening. First of all, I want to sharing and give us your idea what happening. First of all, we got Owen Beck got his new contract of ELC, and starting with maybe with Karen, tell us a bit more about his contract and what that bring for the Montreal Canadiens with the for upcoming year.
Well, I think Owen Beck was definitely the standout at camp, so that's hard work being rewarded. I mean, there was no question that he was going back to junior, but just giving him a contract says, you've done well, you've impressed us, you're in the fold, we like you. So go back to junior, get better, and yeah, we're definitely interested in having you on our team. And that was a given for me. He was so impressive at camp that I thought there's no way they can't sign that guy. So yeah.
Marco?
Absolutely, well-deserved contract. I don't think that many second-round picks get an ELC contract at their first camp, so he definitely gets to leave with a great taste in his mouth. I liked kind of what Saint Louis talked about in the press conference about him, what he should focus on going back to the OHL, about really focusing in on his leadership skills. Quickly, we saw that they added him as an assistant captain actually on his junior team, so that's really great. So really good, pretty impressive camp, and let's still manage our expectations for him next year. It's not always a straight line when it comes to development. I think we're all going to be excited to see what he does. We'll see if he gets to play at the World Juniors this Christmas. So lots of great things, but again, like every other young player, let's chill. I have to say I'm a little bit relieved that he didn't make the roster, because then I didn't have to shave my head like Coach. I kind of made a bet in the comments that I would have to shave my head. So he made it close, though. He made me sweat a little bit towards the end there. So I was happy to see him go back to OHL for sure.
Great comments about him. Ken Hughes was busy because 24 hours. The next morning, we heard something else. It was the turn of the Logan Mailloux. Logan Mailloux got another Same situation with Owen Beck, got his 3-year contract, the ELC. And honestly, this changed a little bit, a lot of, conversation because the drama bring with him when he got drafted by the Montreal Canadiens, 31 overall pick in 2021. But what do you think about this contract, Karen?
Obviously, I'm surprised. I didn't think they'd sign him right away like that, mainly because he's barely played last season. He had an injury, so we've not seen him play that much. Obviously, the guy has talent. He's a good player. But I wasn't sure that the new regime would want to keep him in the fold. But I guess, Kent Hughes said, I think it was in April, that they still needed to evaluate Logan Mailloux, not so much as a player, but as a person. And he stuck around Montreal all summer. They probably took the time to see where he was at, if he realizes what he's done, how he can improve and all that. So I'm guessing they were satisfied that, he does meet the criteria to be part of the organization. And I know a lot of people think that, well, they've signed him, now they're going to trade him, but I don't see that happening. I mean, they don't have enough depth at right D. So I think if they sign him, they want to keep him. So, but we'll see.
Marco?
Yeah, Coach, when you posted this update on your channel, I was like, "Whoa, here we go." I was checking out the comments to see kind of what was going to come in, but I think overall it was pretty well received. A couple comments here and there. Listen, this is a very tough situation for the new management team. I don't know if you guys remember, but Jeff Gordon, when the pick was made, was actually on the air on the NHL Network covering the draft. And I don't know if you guys remember what that looked like, but the whole panel, when Bergevin picked Mailloux, the whole panel was just kind of blown away, and they didn't have the most positive comments to say about that at that time, right? So you've got Jeff Gordon that publicly was kind of already out there thinking what he thought of the pick. And then you had Chantal Machabé, who was also pretty public about what she thought of the pick, as when she was still with RDS at the time. So you got two really key management members that had to kind of pedal back a little bit. So very tricky PR. I'm a marketing guy, right? So I kind of look at things equally from a hockey perspective to PR. So overall, I have to say they've done a good job managing the situation, slowly integrating him over the summer, not putting him out there too much, getting him in people's face. I think so. Overall, I think it was well managed from a hockey perspective. Kevin, you nailed it. Like, this is definitely a position of need for Montreal. They just don't have that depth there. So I think it's a good signing. I think he's definitely went through the steps. So yeah, I think it's a good move and very well managed by the whole management team.
The only update I will give to you guys is Mailloux is going to be out until the end of the October. Expect him to return with the London Knights at the end or the beginning of November to join the team and be a part. Is it good enough to be a part with the Team Canada? That will be be really interesting to follow up with him, because
very hard for them to very hard for just with everything that's going on with Team Canada. Again, from a PR perspective, you just can't imagine that they would expose themselves to that situation, right? So
yeah,
it'll be very tough.
Nice as it is. So
yeah,
would be really interesting about this. The next thing I want to talk about, guys, is I was supposed to talk about injury update, but we're going to talk a little bit later about this. I would prefer to go the overview of the camp. Honestly, the camp is over last night with a loss in overtime at 3-2 against Ottawa Senators. The 8th game is over. Montreal is 0-6-2. And we know they have a lot of injury came with this at the end. But I want to see a little bit more the overview of the camp for the Montreal Canadiens. The first thing I want to ask you is that what did we learn? So I want you give us a little bit your segment about this, about what you think about what happening with the camp with Montreal.
Personally, I think we learned that new management is ready to take its time. It doesn't intend to rush young players. I mean, the waiver pickup from yesterday kind of solidifies that as well. We'll talk about it later. But I think that's what we learned. That's the main thing that we can take away from this camp. We've got a new management in place that's not willing to, take a shortcut to get to where it wants to go. I think they're ready to be patient, and hopefully the fans are ready too. That's what I take away from the camp.
Marco?
Yeah, so kind of what I alluded to in the beginning, obviously this was 100% a development camp. It wasn't a camp that was meant to, from the coach's perspective, to get the team ready for the season. That did not seem to be the focus at all. What I found interesting this week, watching all the media that I do, consuming as much Habs information that I do on a daily basis, is you're starting to see in the media, not a lot, but a little bit of kind of miscontent around Martin Saint Louis. Not a lot, obviously, but you're starting to see the cracks of the honeymoon phase starting to drop a little bit with the team going completely, winless in the preseason. So I find that interesting. You still have some very strong voices in the media and with fans that reminding everyone that this is a development year and everything else. I don't know where I stand on that yet. Like it's, I guess the answer to what did we learn? It's hard. We didn't learn that much, just because there's so many missing things that happened. Like the coach was saying, we didn't really get to see the full lineup in the last two games. Is it really clear yet if Slavkovsky is ready to play yet? It was really hard for me. I would have liked to see him play with kind of the same players throughout the whole camp to give him a little bit of stability. It was like a very unstable situation for him. So I don't know if we did learn that much, to be honest. And I don't know, like I get it that this is a year of development, and this is something that I'm sure we'll continue debating throughout the whole year. But I don't know if intellectually it makes sense to me that you can separate proper development with success. Like I get it, you're not going to fight for the playoffs, but you need some success, some results to build an environment where you can develop players in a healthy way. And I think right now it's preseason. I think Harris in his press conference yesterday was talking about how the mood in the room is still positive and everything else. But listen, like it's a fine line, right? Like you'll need to have a little bit of success here. And like I said, I haven't seen too much development in the team concept as in terms of how they're looking on the ice. So we'll have to see how that plays out.
Yeah. They go to reviewing the camp for me, and they will realize, okay, is it good to have 74 players? They're going to see what they did really well and what did not do well. And is it too many game? 8 game. I know the COVID-19 bring those 2 games at the medicine where it was not supposed to be that way usually. And I think the injury happening at the last week changed a little bit the plan of Martin Saint Louis. So they have to deal with some kind of unexpectation during the camp. And that's something they're going to reviewing at some point for the upcoming year. Next year, the camp number 2 for Martin Saint Louis to figure out everything. I think for me, what it was great is the fact like they was really into the development for the staff. Like they was really diving every single day. The Adam Nicolai was there all the time. Usually, it was most of the time running that practice with drills, front drill. The player enjoyed what the comments we heard, and I think at some point you're going to reviewing the camp. But I think for me, what I learned is the disappointment of the defenseman. That's one thing I'm going to remember about this camp. And I think the camp is not over yet. Because I think at the beginning of the year, we're not going to be ready. And then going to have another week or maybe 2 weeks where you're going to try to figure out what is the team it look like because the injuries, the lineup they have. But if I want to ask you a little bit more question about this, each one of you, I know it was maybe not preview, but one more you talk about, I would love to hear more. Maybe give us maybe your top 3 best players, or maybe surprise, or we are maybe impressive, or something you really remember about this camp on the individual players. Karen.
Okay. Well, I think the surprise for me was Owen Beck. I didn't see that coming, so that was very positive. Another positive has got to be Cole Caulfield, who's already in mid-season form. I mean, that's impressive. He leads all preseason players in the NHL with 4 power play goals and 21 shots. So those are very positive. And I'd put that on the same par as the return of the Brandon Gallagher of old. I think he's been very impressive this camp. So that's my other positive, yeah.
Great. Marco.
Well, since Kevin went positive, I'll go vice versa, and I'll go negative. It's my style. So to me, because I pretty much agree with all the positives, so it's not fun to just repeat the same stuff. So negative to me, really the three left wingers, experienced NHL left wingers that were supposed to be players that we're going to be able to highlight and showcase and hopefully flip at the end of the season. You all know who I'm talking about. We're talking about Dadonov, Hoffman, and Drouin. Very big. All three of them. Just I think this is coming for me. Everybody knows my stance on Mike Hoffman. Mike Hoffman was the best out of all those three. That's not really great. So I think Hoffman played the best out of those three left wingers, which is really not saying much. And then, like Coach talked about, just I think we all went in there hoping that Barron. I did have my doubts, and I was pretty vocal about that. But I'm a fan, right? So of course I wanted him to succeed. But so it's disappointing that he wasn't able to really kind of hit that level that we need him to. We can all see that he's got a lot of great tools, but just a little bit more seasoning, a little bit more strength and balance in his game, and a bit more strength along the boards will go a long way. So to me, those are the big disappointments. The goaltending hasn't been amazing either, right? So to me, those are kind of what surprised. I guess what surprised me is, to me, the biggest narrative in this whole camp is there's two dueling needs that we have. So we want to develop players, which means that if we want to develop them in the NHL, they need to have a role on the team. But then there's a competing need, which is to showcase veteran players so that we can flip them at the deadline. Those are contradicting priorities. And I was always fascinated throughout the whole summer about how are they going to manage these conflicting priorities? How are you going to bring on Slavkovsky? How are you going to fit in, even a Pitlick? How do you fit him in and still showcase those 3 or 4 veteran forwards that are eating up your cap that you want to free up? I still don't think we have a resolution to that. It's going to be, I think it's going to be a while until we get there. So tricky.
Albert Jakai was really the one I was I was very impressed because I know he would bring something, but not that level at the point where he was maybe, for me, is a dark horse. Like everybody put him behind Harris, Barron, and Coley and Norlander, and then he finally go all the way just behind Coley. For me, it was really the one that was the most impressive for me. And then I would say to you, the disappointment, I will go with Montembeault. Because Montembeault is the one supposed to support Jake Allen. And I will not be surprised Montembeault is going to be on the waiver Monday if they pick up someone as a goaltender. And Primo will be returning Laval. So that's the one I would
you pick up Joey Decord, Coach?
No, I would try to get a veteran goaltender at some point to support Jake Allen if I have to make a move over there. So that would be my point. Because if you use Primo over Montembeault Thursday, you have a reason. You have a purpose behind that. And I don't know yet. We do not know. Kenny is going to have a conference tomorrow. Hopefully someone is going to ask that question. Why Primo over Montembeault? Why Montembeault did not play? JC Island did not play. And the Maritime. So there's a little about this. So it would be really interesting to see this direction for the Montreal Canadiens. They have to put maybe Montembeault on the roster Monday, but they can pick up another goaltender Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, or any days after that. So I'm going to be surprised if Montembeault cannot finish the year or with the Montreal Canadiens because somehow they have a move I don't understand yet by Martin St. Louis because he said, I'm going to the Maritime, start with my roster. So why you use Caden Primo?
Yeah, I think we're all really baffled with that one. So as a result of not playing Montembeault in that first game in Newfoundland, I forget the name of the spot, Gander. that means that, so we have 3 games, right, that are coming up this week. And by the time that there's the next back-to-back, which is where Montembeault would play, it means that it would have been 2 weeks from the last time that he played a game. That's just way too long for someone to sit, right? So either it's just really mismanaged situation, or like you said, coach, or maybe there's an injury or a discomfort that we didn't know about. Like it's impossible to say, but it's just weird. Every goaltending analyst in Habs world was just didn't really understand why they'd made that move, right? So I can understand why you would read into it, because it just doesn't make sense.
My next player would be Emil Heineman, another one. What my was not, I know he was good, but not that level. At the point where he was not hurt, I would love to see him play this week, because I think he would be in the lineup again Ottawa Thursday, Saturday, and he could mix, the card for the Martin Saint Louis if he was not, if he was LT. So I think they are my players. While looking more about the surprise compared to, and I agree with Karen. I think for me, Cole Caulfield and Gallagher. I love the Gallagher, the health. We really see Brendan Gallagher the way we saw him a couple of years ago, and he feels great right now. So really impressed about him since the beginning of the camp. So, yep, go ahead.
Even better than what he looked at. Like, I think it's not only does he look as healthy as 2-3 years ago, but you can see the impact that St. Louis is having on how he's playing too. He's not just crashing the net. He's looking to make plays, like that goal with Doc, where he made that really nice cross ice pass, just using vision. So maybe it might not be the same 30 goal Gallagher, but maybe a more kind of a Gallagher that has more tools and is actually even more useful to the team in different scenarios.
Definitely about
very,
this.
Very good.
So that's conclude, honestly, the camp overview, everything was happening during the last couple of 2 weeks. And I still have no answer, definitely, for what's coming for upcoming year. So let's preview a little bit more the Habs weekly. So what's coming in front of us, because it's not like a normal week, because it's a roster Monday. Then they have some kind of big decision to do with the Montreal Canadiens. So we're going to go a little bit more project some projection roster, talking about injuries, everything like that for what's coming for the Montreal Canadiens. So let's starting first of all with the final roster we want to talk about. And first of all, I think those 3 guys I'm talking about, if I can find a graphic, honestly, that I call them the 3 amigos. I'm not sure they go to sleep tonight until Monday night, because they have a lot of things to talk about, and because the roster is coming for Monday night. I believe Karen can correct me. Is it 5 o'clock Eastern time?
I'm not sure, actually.
Okay.
I think you might be right, but I'm not sure.
Okay. So that will happening about this. And then we want to talk about how we're going to fix this, because I think both of you talk about different things they don't have yet, and they make a first move. Maybe, Karen, you think about what they claim on the waiver yesterday.
They claimed the right-handed defenseman Jonathan Kovacevic from Winnipeg. Big guy, kind of a Jacky size kind of guy. He's only got 4 games of experience in the NHL, but he's had 3 years in the AHL with the Manitoba Moose, and I think he got about 30 points last season in 62 games. So that's not bad at all. But what that tells me is that management doesn't want to rush the young players, the prospects they had a good camp. They did. The first week of the main camp was good as well, but this week we started to see some cracks. And if you don't want to rush them, and like Marco said, how do you develop players properly if you're not winning? Is it the right atmosphere? Then it might be better for these guys to go down to Laval, and we use Kovacevic up in Montreal whilst they develop down in Laval. So I thought that was a good move. But interestingly, there's also another good defenseman that's been waived, the former first round pick that's on waivers today from Calgary, Uso Valimaki. So I wouldn't even be surprised if they claimed him as well today. But we'll see.
Marco?
Well, the first thing I always do when either Montreal trades for a player or picks somebody up on waivers is I go into the fan base of the team that he's coming from to see if the fan base is upset that they're losing the player. So it's because it's a kind of a nice signal to understand a little bit more about the player. And it seemed like a lot of the Winnipeg media and a lot of the fans were not super happy that they had lost him. So it's not a scientific way of looking at an asset that you're picking up, but it's an interesting anecdote to see that the fan base is disappointed that they're losing him. So my assessment of him is, everything Kegan said. He's probably more of a stay-at-home guy. It says a lot to me that Winnipeg just offered him a 3-year contract that starts this year. So obviously they believe in him. I think he's kind of a bubble player at this point, right? So if Winnipeg didn't have so much depth on defense, not that they have a great defense, but they just have a lot of NHL bodies, it would be interesting to see if he'd be fighting for a spot there as well. On the Habs blue line, I think there's no question that we'll see him for sure get an opportunity here pretty soon, and see some of those guys go down that we talked about already, like Barron and Harris. I think had a really strong start to the camp, but then you can see in the offensive zone and in transition he's pretty solid, but it's those battles in the defensive zone, winning those battles and be able to get those quick outs, similar to Romanoff in his first year, where remember he had those super long, like 2-minute shifts where he was stuck in the zone forever. And I just see that kind of happening with Harris. Just depending who he would be playing with, especially if they have to play him on the right side. I just don't think he's ready for those battles, to win those battles in the defensive zone. I wouldn't be surprised. I'm not sure if they would pick up Valimaki. He's a good player, but he's left-handed. I think we have some more players here coming on waivers after today as well in the coming days. So I firmly expect that they're going to do something else. I'm just not sure Valimaki is going to be the guy.
We know Valimaki came from a bad knee, and he did not recover for 2 years now. And the Calgary gave up on him because they feel he's not going to be a part of this team. Plus, they miss Killington. So just give you an idea where they've claimed. He have a really bad camp, by the way. If you follow the Calgary Flame, he did not perform very well. So I'm not sure. He's only 24 years old. A team like Montreal, Arizona, Chicago, a team where really don't have not much expectation, maybe pick him up and give had time to be a little bit more patient about him. But 2 years ago, he was a solid defenseman. At the point, was almost a top 4 players for the Flames. One before he got that injury. So definitely would be so interesting. But I think the Montreal will be a little bit waiting a little bit longer to see a little bit more another list of the players show up Monday, because we're going to have a lot of players on Monday out for a different team. Plus, they're going to have some kind of PDO, maybe no contract like Michael Stone or some other players. So it'll be interesting what it will be Montreal Canadiens, their pick for the next 48 hours to complete their roster, honestly, before the deadline at 5 o'clock Eastern time, I believe, Monday night. So that will be something. Do you expect any other move, maybe not from the waiver, and possibly on the trade? Do you see like you go make some kind of movement like this, Karen?
Well, I think we all would have liked to see them make a move to get rid of some big salaries and players that are not doing what they're supposed to be doing, and at this stage are basically just hindering younger players from, getting ice time and developing. But things being as they are and the way they've performed, I mean, I don't see anybody biting right now. No one's going to jump on our trash and say, yes, let me help you with those big contracts that, do nothing. So I unfortunately, I don't see a trade happening. I hope, though, that management is daring enough to waive some guys that just don't perform and I'm not worth the money. Don't know if it's gonna happen. I know that Kent Hughes said that he likes to build assets up. He doesn't want to sell low. He wants to sell high and all that. But at what stage do you tell yourself, okay, we've tried enough here. It's not going to happen. I mean, Drouin, I want him to succeed. I really do. But watching him yesterday, he kind of looked disinterested. Like he doesn't even have fun playing hockey anymore. Dadonov and Hoffman, I mean, geez, what can you do with that? I mean, who's going to be watching those preseason performance and think, yes, let me get that guy? you're kind of in a pickle, because if you want to get rid of them and trade them, you have to showcase them, but at the same time, they're not good for your team. So it's really a catch-22 situation. But as things stands right now, I don't see them being traded, unfortunately. So no.
Marco?
Yeah, I think it's the beginning of the year, right? So every team, is going to be the most optimistic about their lineups. Everybody's thinking that the prospect that they're going to bring up is going to have an impact on their lineup. Nobody's desperate enough yet, right? Like, you might have the odd team, say like Ottawa, who really knows that they have to get to a strong start. So you have coaches that are kind of under management teams that are under pressure like that. But there's not a lot of teams like that other than Ottawa, and I just don't see them picking up any of those players. So yeah, I think it's gonna be very hard. As we know, throughout the whole summer, Hughes has been very clear that he's not willing to deal an asset along to get rid of a negative asset. It's probably one of the rare things I disagree with Hughes, because we have so many assets, right? Like you only have 50 contracts that you can have. And there's only so many picks that you can have, right? Where it starts to just get insane. So if you're talking about asset management, yes, you don't want to sell low, but at the same time, is it good asset management to hold on to an extra asset that's not allowing an even more important asset to develop properly and give them the chance to play? Is it good asset management to have 3 veteran players that aren't going to play very much and probably are not going to be happy with their situation in the dressing room around your young players? I get it. I'm sure they're all pros, but still, is that good asset management? It's not maximizing your assets, but to me, asset management is more than how much can I get for every single asset that I have. It's about managing the assets so that all of your assets are maximized in terms of their development and also their worth.
So, Marco, I ask you, okay, let's trade Mike Hoffman. Make sense? Now that will cost you a Jan Mizak. What do you do?
So, yeah.
Minimum.
So
I can go another Justin Barron, or he can cost you another prospect, a big name. The Vancouver Canucks just did it. Just gave them a second round pick with nobody. They got Riley. Riley
Steelman. Yeah. But I would make that trade. So if I could trade Hoffman and trade Norlinder, 100%, I would do that.
They're not going to get Norlinder. They're going to give you Jan Mizak, Sean Farrell, Joshua Roy, a second round pick 2023, 2024.
Yeah, I would do a second round pick 2024 to get rid of Mike Hoffman. No question. I would do it. Not 2023 because it's too deep of a draft. But I don't have the list of picks that we have in front of me. I wouldn't trade our own pick because our pick is probably still going to be very high. But if we own a second pick from Calgary,
2022.
What's that?
We've only got 1 second round pick in 2023 and 2 first rounders, 11 draft pick during the 2023
my
draft.
My point is just to mention, if you give a contract, you have to pay more. So far, that's what he did not do at this point. Like he gave Weber, he got that enough. He got Madison, he gave Rand Poland. He never lost like a big asset in return. So every time you want to give something because you want to give away, but it would cost you more. Like what? That's my problem with that part of there. I would prefer for 1 year to see what we have.
Then just waive him. Just put him in Laval or just send him away. Like honestly, he's not going to be any value on the team at all. I don't think. If he's again, especially with Hoffman, just because I think he doesn't really have really good fundamentals to his game. You could say the same thing about Drouin. Dadonov has proven that he's a pro, right? He can play both sides of the puck and everything else.
But now it will cost you $4.5 million for 2 years on your salary cap if you send him a Laval.
Yeah, that's why it's more ideal to move him. Again, if it was me, the value of losing one asset like that, but then being able to have Yolonen or Pinard play is higher than giving away a second round pick in 2023 or giving away, again, I don't see why. It doesn't have to be Norlinder, but I don't think it has to be one of your top prospects either that you're giving away, right? So it could be like we have so many prospects. Even if it was Mishak, okay, I'd do it.
I would not give Jan Mizak. He's only 20 years old. Who knows? Maybe in 2 years, maybe better to Owen Beck. You don't know you don't know yet where he's going to reach. So I would not give anybody that level.
We're about to draft another center in the first round next year, right?
I don't know. You assume it's not said he will. So for me, I would not trade. Anyhow, we have to move on. We have to talk about, honestly, the big thing happening is honestly the final roster. We still have about 20 minutes to talk about, and that's what is coming this week is another part of the preview. Monday, they have to give the roster. They have to be under the salary cap. And then one thing we talked earlier, we always said we won't talk about this later, but the injury make a big statement about those big decisions for the three amigos now, and what you expect, what happened. Maybe Kevin have maybe some update about injury, or give me some hint what you know already for what's going on with Montreal Canadiens for the injuries.
Well, injuries, I mean, it's a bit weird. We've not heard anything more about Edmondson, and he's meant to be one of the big guys on defense. I mean, initially they said it's not big, it's getting better. Yeah, but that's starting to really sound exactly like it did last season, so that's a big worry. Madison as well was pulled from the lineup on Thursday, and they said he's healthy, but then on the next day he wasn't at practice, was getting treatment, and he wasn't there yesterday either. Then there's Suzuki, who was missed the last 2 games and was apparently day-to-day and should be there to start the season, but you never know. And as for Paul Byron, well, it seems like he's going on LTIR for now, and we'll see where that goes. But yeah, it's there's a lot of question marks right now. It's hard to project what the lineup will look like with so many unknowns. But yeah, it is what it is.
I think we got confirmation from Renaud Lavoie this morning that Armia is definitely a no-go for the first game of the season. So that's one mystery solved. Yeah. So he tweeted that this morning that it looks like Armia is a no-go for game 1.
Yeah.
So that's some clarification there. So with Armia not playing, I think that really puts us in a position where we don't have to really waive anyone, to be honest. I don't think if Armia is not going to be in the lineup, like I think you can pretty much have everybody on this roster. If you go
now on that one, Peseda is not there. He's going to be on the waiver on this list. I don't think
Pezzetta is going to go on waivers.
So if you keep Peseda on that list, he's not there yet. That gives them 15 forward. So what do you do?
Well, Joel Armia is not going to be there.
Yeah, but he's not. He's not going to be on long term.
Yeah, but big picture. Let's just talk about big picture here. If they're LT and all that right now, what would your lineup look like after what we've seen in preseason and all that? For my part, I think you can't take, you don't split up Caulfield and Suzuki. But I don't think I'd put Anderson with them to start the season. I'd actually like to see Monahan, because when Suzuki's not been there, Monahan's been playing with Caulfield, and I think there's some chemistries there. Then on the second line, I wouldn't put Doc on the second line right away. I'd put Dvorak on the second line with Anderson on the right and Drouin on the left, because he's the one I think is still redeemable, and he's got the pedigree of being a former third overall pick, so I think I'd put Drouin there. Then on the third line, I'd have Slavkovsky, Dak, and Gallagher, because I think Gallagher and Dak, they started to click, and I don't want to see Slavkovsky be too important role in the lineup to start with. And then on my fourth line, I'd have Pitlick, Evans, and Armia when he's back, obviously, which means that Dadonov and Hoffman would be extras for me, and I don't see Pezzetta in the lineup for now, really. But We'll see. That's what I would have up front.
So I'm pretty close. Well, yeah. So let's let Coach put that up here. The only main difference that I would say for me, Karine, is I'd like to see Monahan, and that's why I was really surprised we never saw during the preseason to have Monahan with Doc on the same line, just to kind of give him a bit of shelter in terms of faceoffs. Monahan was like what 12 for 14 or something on faceoffs again last night. He's just a beast, right? So yeah, like how many Monahans do we have, Coach? Like 3?
A lot.
Um, but I agree. I would have Dvorak with Drouin and with Anderson, and then I don't know. I would at least start Slavkovsky with Suzuki and Caulfield. I've said that from the beginning. Yeah, I would. Um, again, like it really depends what expectations you have, right? So there's not really expectations for us to win. So I why not put him in the best position to succeed with the best players? Yeah, he's going to be playing against the best defensemen, but I have no problem with that. Just put him there and see what happens. So I have pretty much the same second line as you, except I have Slavkovsky with Suzuki and Caulfield. A lot of people are going to disagree. I have Monahan with Doc and Gallagher. I think that's really nice. And then my fourth line is exactly like you. I've got Pitlick with Armia and Evans. And my 14th forward, I don't think we should waive Pizzetta. I would definitely try to waive either, Hoffman. But see, again, we're in conflict, right? Like you could easily put Dadonov with Dvorak and Gallagher, which they had throughout all the preseason. I could understand why they would do that because they probably see Dadonov as an asset that is going to be easier to flip than Drouin and probably more desirable to other teams just because of his track record. So I would understand if they do Dvorak, Gallagher, and Dadonov, right? Coach is designing his own thing here.
I have fun, I'm just like listening what you just said. But who do you waive?
I would waive Hoffman for sure. See what happens. He's not going to get claimed, but
Oh, I disagree with you. He's going to be claimed for sure.
great.
Good then.
Okay, well,
Bake
wow,
him, please.
fantastic.
He would be claimed. I think so. I think we're going to get him. He has so many players. Team is losing players. I'm sure he would be claimed. I'm sure.
I'm not sure.
That's the reason why. That's the reason why I don't see Ken Hughes you do this, because he knows on the market he gets something in return.
It's not. So this goes back to my conversation from earlier. Whatever you're going to get in return from him months from now, I don't think is worth as much as not having him. Sometimes you gain from removing something. To me, I get it. There's going to be some injuries and we're going to need depth, but we already have way more depth than we need, especially for left wing. So yeah, like Coach, if that goes like to your question earlier, then like you were saying, we'd have to give away Misak to trade Hoffman, but now you're saying that he's too valuable and he'll be picked up on waivers. I don't understand which one is it. Like, we have to give away a second round pick to trade him, or
no? My point is like
my
point was he was not give away nothing. That's my point. Like he would not give for nothing Hoffman. That's my point. He would not to bring Hoffman to Laval at $4.5 million.
Yeah, but if I'm looking at what you're doing with your lineup right now, are you using Anderson as an extra?
Oh yeah, possibly.
Really?
Whoa. Really?
If I have to put him, like if I have 12 players right now, I would put Jonathan Drouin not in the lineup.
Yeah, fine,
that's what I mean.
Right
but
now
you have Anderson scratched
not in there.
Jonathan Drouin would not be in part of my 12 players at this moment. Because right now you have 2 extra players.
Yes, but why
Where do you have Anderson?
Why now? I just put the name over there. I'm not going to put them out. I'm just putting name over there. So I'm missing one now over there. So this is not my line. I just put name over there to figure out your line after that. So it was not like the line,
So
my line over there.
if you don't want Dwayne, then you can easily switch Dwayne with Dadonov on that Dvorak Gallagher line.
So Caulfield
So you
came
can,
on in. It was from Carrion over there, right?
Yeah.
After that, what it
I have
was your next
Slavkovsky
one?
My next one was Drouin, Dvorak, and Anderson.
Okay.
Then I have Slavkovsky, Dak, Gallagher.
Okay.
And then Pitlick, Evans, and Armia.
Okay. Amir does not play. Example.
Okay, well then you put Dadonov in.
That enough there.
Yeah.
So Hoffman is scratched. So you don't have Hoffman on here.
So you don't have
No.
Hoffman. So what do you do with Peseta?
7th forward.
Tough decision to come. I get the feeling he's probably gonna get waived, and I'm hoping he doesn't get claimed. That's the feeling I'm guessing. I would like Hoffman to be waived, but I'm not sure if they will dare to do it.
Marco, is it about what it was? It's fun between because for me it's really what I'm thinking about at some point, but possibly Dadonov would be a little bit changing. But what it would be you change about that lineup, Marco?
Well, the question, so are we doing this what we think the lineup should be or what we think the lineup will be?
What will the lineup it would be like? They keep falling forward. What do you think it would be like that way?
So we're trying to predict what the actual lineup will be.
Yeah, because Amir is
what
out.
we think it should be.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think this is pretty close here to other than I don't think Dwayne's going to be there. I think they're probably going to try Dadonov instead of Dwayne there because I just get a sense they tried that a lot during the preseason, so they might go back to that. Dwayne showed absolutely nothing to take that away from Dadonov, even though Dadonov didn't show anything either. So I think, based on what I see here, it's hard to say. Like, I think they like Pizzetta, like Martin St. Louis is going to want to, because one thing that we haven't talked about, guys, and St. Louis said this in his presser yesterday, he doesn't have enough people to play penalty kill. He's got plenty for both his power play units, but who on here other than Evans and Pitlick? He's had Dadonov killing penalties. Armia would have been a sure bet to kill penalties, but he's injured, right? Hoffman's not going to kill penalties. He's going to play on your power play, but you've got already enough power play guys.
Oh, yeah. He's going to kill power plays. That's what he's going to do. That's what he's been doing this week. Yeah, exactly. I want him up.
So, to me, those bubble players, one of the main criteria, if I had to guess, the main criteria is going to be, can they kill penalties? So Armia's injured. I think I would have actually tried Dwayne to kill penalties because he's fast. He doesn't win battles, but he's fast, and I think it would have been an interesting experiment to try. But they did have Pizzetta killing penalties. They did have Dadonov killing penalties. So I don't know, unless they think that Hoffman is more valuable to them on the power play than Slavkovsky or Monahan. Because to me, if I had to guess, that will be the biggest factor is who's going to kill penalties.
Okay, so finishing the forward because we still have almost like a 9 minutes to go. Who do you put? If Amir is not a long-term reserve, okay. If he is, that honestly gave no problem. If he's not, you have to waive one player over there. That's pretty much what's happening on this lineup we have because he's going to be at 14-7. Makes sense?
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting.
I think we all want Kevin and I want them to waive Hoffman, but we don't think it'll happen. But that's what we hope will happen.
Yeah.
I would say for me they will waive Pessoa. That'll be my prediction about that one over there. But we'll see tomorrow. Now the biggest thing is this really about this one over there, and I'm going to delete everything after that. I apologize. You can starting talking about this is all the defensemen we have. on the Montreal. We have 12 names on the board. Look, because I'm sure Kevin knows about this. They're going to start 14-7-2. So that gives 7 defensemen. On my list, I put everybody a little bit per group of 4. The Madison, Savard, Emerson, Whiteman, they are the veteran for defensemen. You have Schoenemann, Bowie, Kovacevic, and Leskinen with some kind of experience. And NHL, then you have the rookie, Coley, Harris, Barron, and Jack I. What I believe they are locked in are Madison, Savard, Coley, Whiteman, because Edmondson is going to be a long term, so that open up 3 spots. And I'm just curious, you guys, who do you think they're going to get the 3 spot? Really curious about this.
Well, we don't know for sure that Edmondson is going to be long term. They haven't said. So for me, if he comes back, it'll be Edmondson, Madison, Goulet, Savard, Jakai, Weidman / Kovacevic. That's what I would have. I'd send Harris and Barron down to Laval, and I would, Schoenemann as well, Laval. I think the plan is to let those good prospects go and develop. I think Jakai showed more readiness in the last week than Harris or Barron for sure, so I'm keeping him around. That's what I'm doing, and I think, they claim Kovacevic. There's got to be a reason for that. Reason being they don't want to rush the young guys, so that's what I would have as my plan. And if Edmondson is on long term and you need to keep another one up, that would be Schoenemann. I'd let Harris and Barron go develop down. And I'm not even talking about Bowie, because I don't think he's ever been in the equation, to be honest. I think he's destined for Laval, and that's it. Same for Leskinen. He's got experience, but he's not on the same path as the best prospects for me. So yeah, that would be my my decisions if it was up to me.
Marco?
I 100% agree, actually, which sucks because it would be fun if we had a debate, but hard to disagree with that. I think Harris and Barron should be sent down. I even agree right down to the 7th defenseman, right? So I've said this for a while. I think Schoenemann is a lock for the 7th defenseman. Now, this is all based on whether Edmondson's not playing. This is all based on whether they don't pick up another or trade or
of
pick
course.
up somebody else on waivers.
Yeah.
But based on what we have right now, this is exactly what I would do. Except I'm not 100% sure I would have Weidman in my top 4. I would give a strong look to Kovacevic in that top 4 because
Weidman this is only the locked in. That's my. It's not like priorities with top 4
What's
players.
The pairs? Yeah. My pairs I would try would be Matheson, Savard, Goulet, Kovacevic, and Jakai with Weidman is what I would try.
Karine?
Yeah. What my pairs? Well, I'm sticking with what I said earlier. The only thing I would mention is that I think that when they signed Weidman to an extension, in their mind, he was there to be like a big brother, kind of who wouldn't mind being a 7th defenseman and, swap in and out. But since what we've seen at camp, I think they're like, we're going to use Weidman more and give those guys more time to develop. Because I really thought that Weidman would be your 7D so that you let young guys play, but I don't see it happening now. Well, it's a shame as it's not going to be as interesting, but it's a good decision. If those guys are not ready, don't rush them. So, yeah.
All right. I like controversy. So, Kovacevic is going to be in. Jakai will be in. I'm going to waive Schoenemann. I'm going to keep Harris for the beginning of this week. And that will be my projection for the Montreal Canadiens for the 7D about this. And because I believe they can carry on. I'm just, and I know it's not right to say that connection Harris use could be what it turned my lights on about that. So for me, I would not be surprised if they would keep him a little bit more an extension 1 week. And 99.9, they're not going to lose Schoenemann anyway on my eyes. And then they're going to take a little bit longer. Now we all do this, guys. And then tomorrow we're going to look at each other and say, Oh, Mike Madison is not
Yeah,
ready.
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Yeah,
so many moving pieces. So as long as Harris doesn't have long period of time where he's not playing games, that's fine. Like, yeah, there might be a bit of nepotism there. Not that they're related, but that's fine. Like if they keep him for a week or two, just so that he keeps getting the best cooking and you know stays in the nice hotels because he's good friends of the family, whatever. But as long as it doesn't affect his long-term development.
All right, we are almost at the end. I want to say we hit the 1 hour, so we're going to go a little bit quicker. I want to get your projection. I want to see Karen if she's great on fantasy hockey. You are, Mr. Marco. So I want to see what you're going to do with the Montreal Canadiens projection for upcoming season. So let's start with Nick Zuski. Under or over 70 points?
under, because as good as Suzuki is, he still plays for the Montreal Canadiens and they're struggling to produce offense, so it's going to be under, unfortunately.
Marco?
Same, under.
Cole Caulfield, 32 goal.
I'm going to say over, mainly because he's going to get a lot of time on the power play. So, and we've seen in the preseason that, he's in top form already. So I'm going to go with over for that.
Marco?
I'm going to go under just to be a contrarian. I just think that he might get injured or something. I don't know.
Kirby Dack, 42 points.
I'm going to go under for that one. Give him time to get acclimated. I don't think he's going to get that much ice time. So, yeah, under.
Marco?
Do you have his points from last year, Coach? I think it was 34, right?
27, I believe. 918
Okay.
or 917,
Okay,
something
under.
like that.
Under. I think the best, I think he's more like around 37. So it'll be close, but I don't think he gets there.
Who play more game, Jacky, Harris, or Barron?
Jacky for me.
I'll say Barron. I'll say Barron ends up playing more because right now I think it's really all in his head too. So I think he'll go back. The pressure of the camp will go away. He'll go back to Laval for a while. He'll play well. He'll end up playing a bunch of games this year.
Who have the more goal, Gallagher? I know, Karen. Dadonov or Monahan?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Gally because whatever happens, Gally's in top shape this year, and he always give his all, so he's not gonna be a healthy scratch at no point. Dadonov might be. Monahan, well, so far it's going good, but I'm just wondering if those hips are gonna hold and if he's gonna play all season. So I'm saying Gally to that one. Yeah.
Marco?
Well, for both Monahan and Galley, their hips do lie. They both had hip surgeries, so I'm going with the steady bet, which is Dadonov, the steady production coming from Dadonov. So go with Dadonov.
All right, the last one is the graphic of what I tried that one over there. I did reverse, but I should start with this one over there. Montreal Canadiens supposed to get 74.1 point by the top-down hockey graphic. What is it? Do you think is over or under?
Jeez. How many points did they get last year?
58. This is or 55. This is a big call for me.
I'm gonna say under. I don't see them winning that many games. I mean, especially not since the Atlantic Division has got stronger. I say under 74.
Marco?
74, that would be what, like, how many wins would that be? 20?
30, 33, 32.
Yeah, I'm going to go under.
All right. Me too. I think it's too much what you said about this. I think it's, 3 of them. That's a lot, honestly, for that one over there. So that's what happening, guys. Let's conclude, honestly, all the projection we have today. The only thing I would say to you, Montreal have a 3 game this week. And I tried to get that one over there. First of all, if you don't know, Ken Hughes is going to meet the media tomorrow. I don't know, Karen, you know about this one over there?
I don't know what time it's going to be, but I'm looking forward to that. I can tell you that.
We know this week they play against Toronto Wednesday, back-to-back, Saturday, Sunday, Detroit and the Washington Capitals. We like projection for each one of you. And I would like to know what will be the end of the record for Montreal this week.
Well, I think they're going to lose against Toronto. They might win against Detroit on Friday, and they're going to lose against Washington. So I'd say
1-2-0.
1-2. Yeah.
Marco?
I think they'll win against Washington.
Really?
So yeah, I think they'll win against Washington. But they'll go like the pressure is going to be on, right? 0-2 going in, and then no wins in the preseason. Pressure is going to be on.
0-2-1 will be my prediction of the week. We're going to go now on the Frenchy quiz, guys, but stay tuned because we have a big question. I want to get your answer. Possibly you can win next week. But let's dive in. First of all, the Frenchy quiz that we have every single week. And first of all, the question last week, what will be Habs record this week? It was 0-1. Nobody win, Mr. Nartap and Mr. Marco last week. No one. So what we did, we decided to go through the draw, and we have a winner. And the winner of this week is Danny T. He's the
Danny
winner
T,
of the
wow.
contest. Congratulations.
Awesome.
I will go give him a prospect, but he still struggle on the fantasy hockey, so he deserves to get that kind of the book for that one over there. So this is the last winner with the fantasy elite prospect guide for that one over there. But next week, guys, we have a special another question, and this is going to be for the Draft Pro 2022-2023. So this is another sponsor from us. And the question, guys, and I want to get your question when I'm coming back. What would be the total of the goal for and the goal again this week? This is the total of the 3 game, and I would like to hear from you guys. This is a question. So, guys, for the people participate, leave us a comment when you're watching this video, and we're going to see who will be the winner. And I would like to hear from Karine. What would be the total of the 3 game for the Montreal Canadiens this week?
Okay, goals for in 3 games, I'm going to go for 6. And goals against, I'm going to go for Toronto, Washington. I'm going to go for 13.
13.
Yeah.
An average of 4.1 game, 4.2, 4.3 goal per game. Marco?
Well, have we seen goaltending to suggest otherwise? I don't think so.
This is the beginning of the year, so everything could happen.
Yeah. I'm gonna so goals for, I'll say I'll go 7 just to be a little bit more optimistic than Karine. But on the goals against, I'll go a little bit more on the negative side and say like 16.
16.
Against Toronto, I think it's going to be nasty. Yeah.
All right. I'm go higher.
Against Toronto.
I'm go higher. And by the way, to win, if nobody get the exact number, all right, is always the closest one from the higher number. So if you are 18 and the number is 17, you cannot win. So you have to be Marco at 16.
It's like Price is Right. It's like the Price is Right. Yeah.
Yeah. And me, I will go higher. I go with 18. Thinking about 19, but I will go with 18. So it'll be 18 goal total for the Montreal Canadiens. I expect Montreal 8 goal, but they gave a lot. They gave 11 goal next week against Toronto and Washington.
Totally use the Price is Right technique on us there, Coach. I bet $1. That's exactly what you just did. It's okay.
About this one over there. So that's conclude, guys, the episode number 5. Anything you want to maybe what you're looking for this week, one thing, and then we're going to shut down this. We're already over time today, but there was so much, a lot of contents to talk about.
I'm looking forward to seeing what the opening night lineup is going to be. Really, that's the main thing I'm looking for this week because I don't expect much joy watching the games. So, yeah.
Marco?
Well, you know what baffles me, Coach, is we just spent over an hour talking about stuff, and I'm still confused, and I still don't know what's going on. It's just that kind of season. But, hey, it's fun. So hope you enjoyed the show, guys. Don't forget to put your comments below for your chance for the Frenchy quiz, and hope you enjoyed watching this on preview, and we'll see you again next week for Habs Sunday Brunch.
Hey, by the way, you're going to see the first goal of Juraj Slavkovsky Friday night against Detroit during the second period at 13:53 seconds. 13 or 12.
Oh, wow. Okay.
We'll see what's happening until that one over there. Have an amazing, great week, everybody.
Thanks, guys.